Phoenix in solidarity with our immigrant siblings. Those who do are great and inspirational and are people that we look up to. However, it is just as powerful and transformative to be like the ox, like those in the field, and those who play in the mud. From our place, do simple things with extraordinary love, harnessing our gifts for justice. Because of our commitment to social justice and our calling to be prophetic voices in the face of oppression, the UUA sponsored the Standing on the Side of Love campaign, a public advocacy effort that seeks to harness love's power to stop oppressive isms such as heterosexism, racism, and classism, all forms of oppression that exclude and dehumanize. Through community activism, social networking, and media outreach, people across the nation are being equipped to counter fear and make love real, tangible, and embodied. Through the campaign, which was birthed at a UU congregation in Knoxville, Tennessee, in the aftermath of a shooting targeted at the congregation who welcomed LGBT people, it has become a rallying cry for groups of all traditions and persuasions, who are committed to living an ethic of just welcome in the world, who raise up the Standing on the Side of Love banner, not as a gimmick, but as a true sign of their commitment to being with those marginalized by systemic forms of injustice. Some of the work of Standing on the Side of Love includes, most recently, immigration. There was a big rally in Phoenix last year where I believe 30 UUs were arrested, including our own President Morales. The recent work in DC around marriage equality and now taking place here in Minnesota and also in Maryland has been an issue that Standing on the Side of Love is taking up. Most recently, within the last few weeks, everything that's happened in Uganda in terms of the murder of David Kato and anti-gay legislation that is in the works of perhaps being passed is an issue that they have taken up. And also recently, there's a lot of recent stuff that we're doing, is transgender civil rights. There are 2 bills currently in the works in Massachusetts and Maryland to add gender identity and gender expression as protected identities. And these are just some of the areas where Standing on the Side of Love through the UUA is hoping to reach out. Through public witness, such as letters to the editor, prayer vigils, rallies, and dinners such as the one we had here tonight, those engaged on Standing on the Side of Love have challenged exclusion, oppression, and violence by affirming all of our identities as sacred. We throw around the word love a lot. I love to travel. God hearts vaginas from the V-Day campaign. Oh, I just love those shoes with that outfit. I love chocolate. All you need is love. However, have we ever stopped to think about what love really means? In this space, I'd like us to engage the question, what does it mean to love? What is love in action? And I invite you, those who feel called or willing, to share your definition of love with the rest of us. And don't all volunteer at the same time. Anybody?
Putting in others' interests before your own.
Anybody? Come on.
To act on behalf of the welfare of the other person.
In good UU fashion, there is no right or wrong answer, so feel free to share that which compels you to love. Anybody else?
I'd say embracing and supporting.
Give more than you expect to get back.
Don't do to others what you would not want done to you.
Any others feel called to share? Okay. Just lost my place. Okay. Thank you for those who share, and thank you all are just sitting with the question. Love is all the things that were shared. Love is not just a commercialized, amorphous blob, but a way of life that engages the world in its complexities. Standing on the side of love, or sizzle as we call it in the office, is a banner that many have taken up, who are working at the intersection of identities, recognizing that people are not just one thing, but are walking mosaics of intersectionality made up of multiple and complex identities and affinities. Using myself as an example, I am Latino, Hispanic, Hispanic, Spanish, and there are many words that we use, Cuban. I'm the child of immigrant parents. I'm a social worker, theologian. I'm a rebel and renegade Catholic. I'm a vegetarian. I graduated from 2 Ivy League schools. I'm in a committed relationship. I hold these identities that are sometimes in harmony and sometimes in conflict, but they're all a part of me. Standing on the side of love embraces me. Standing on the side of love embraces all those who advocate for standing on the side of love embraces all those we advocate for as whole and complete persons. Our work advocating for LGBT rights recognizes that LGBT people are more than just the acronym or label. We are mindful that LGBT in and of itself is a conglomeration of multiple identities and represents many who don't have a letter in the traditional use of the acronym. As we fight for queer, BGLT, LGBT, LGBTQ, LGBTQIIP, and I learned recently quilt bag, queer, questioning, undecided, intersex, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, asexual, allies, and gays. Insert blank, your word. Justice. We know that LGBT people are workers, lovers, people of faith, people of no faith, heads of families, represent the spectrum of socioeconomics, are differently abled, are married with children, are adoptive parents, are aunts, uncles, and godparents, are single, are people of color, are skinny, are voluptuous, or full-figured. To sizzle is to stand on the side of whole, complete, and sacred complex people in and with and for love. By sizzling at the borderland of identities, we expand who people are and undo narratives that limit or box people in. It is not about dehumanizing individuals through an either-or designation, but affirming and honoring our both-andedness. Standing on the side of love, from the pews to the public. One of the things that we're realizing more and more in the justice world is that there is an intersectionality in our justice movements. Take, for example, immigration. This is an issue for activists for marriage equality to be mindful of. Because LGBT people cannot get married in most states, they cannot sponsor their husbands and wives for documentation status. A good friend of mine had to leave the United States for Canada in order to be with her wife. Also, immigration has implications for the reproductive justice movement with all the debates currently around birthright citizenship. Working at the intersection of justice helps address the reality that any given issue is multi-layered and multi-vocalic, while also acknowledging that resources are limited in terms of people, time, and money. It's not about doing everything or having to fit something extra into an already overcommitted life, but simply expand the lens in which we do our current work. If the congregation, the fellowship here, is passionate about healthcare reform, rather than just focusing on the implications related to socioeconomic status and access to quality healthcare for all, we are called to shift or expand the discussion to include how does healthcare reform impact the trans community in terms of health coverage for transitioning. The costs associated with transitioning for male to female or female to male are often not covered by most insurance programs, making it a transition of privilege that many cannot afford. It's not about doing more, but about reframing what we already do, asking a different set of questions that widens our perspective and inspires creativity through new opportunities of engagement. It transformed the congregation where "for all" is not just a fuzzy add-on, but an authentic commitment to inclusivity, where all truly means all, period. The message of standing on the side of love calls us to be integrated and intersecting advocates who are open to take risks and okay with getting dirty in the mud, beyond the church doors or dinner tables. We are called to submerge ourselves in efforts that affirm our businesses and our beingness in the everyday. Examples of this are saying hi to the gender variant cashier who's having a bad day, counseling the male rape victim and survivor, saying a prayer for the sick adopted child of the lesbian couple next door, helping to put back up the vandalized rainbow flag outside of the church, signing a petition to make sure that the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell is inclusive of trans-identified individuals, educating community members that it's okay for boys to wear pink and to paint their nails, and girls can wear blue and play football, participating at a rally for marriage equality at the Minnesota State House. To stand on the side of love is to do ordinary things with extraordinary love. A heartfelt muchas gracias for your presence today and for your commitment to standing on the side of love with all of us who live and love beyond the norm. Knowing that we are always in la lucha, or the struggle, I end our time today, or my reflection, with this blessing so that the conversation and movement to stand for justice, love, and truth continue as we together build a colorful and beloved community that extends from the pews into the public. This is a Buddhist blessing. May we become at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. Que así sea.